dollar, 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 that's what I need. Hey, hey, well, I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. Hey, hey, said I need.
How do you look away? Because we houseless and poor folk have been consistently referred to as the other, those people. It's their fault, our bad choices. And we are never okay. The homeless people, you call us, disembodying our humanity like we are a tribe with no land or culture or purpose of life. We have made bad choices, and therefore somewhere in the back of your mind, we deserve to die. Outside. Admit it, this isn't a trick. It's actually the realest shit. And where was that choices list? Who wrote this unseen manual we were all supposed to overstand and get? Who has the publishing rights? God? Creator? Ancestors? Great Spirit? Bad choices, bad choices. These are neoliberal narratives allowing you to hoard, profile, convict, and evict without ever missing a step. Cleaning and sweeping, incarcerating and taking from belongings to homes. We have no value to own, hold, love, or ever be slow. 'Cause we made bad choices. So goes the submersion of our collective voices, our differences, our multitude of lives and specifics. Yet today's poemcast from a poverty scholar is dedicated to all of us distinctly different humans who happen to live outside, the bad choice makers, the losers, the lowlifes, and the bums in your eyes, the ones who make you sick because you can't solve us. And of course, we are a monolith. Today's poemcast from a poverty scholar is dedicating to unpacking that C word, choices, used by racist classes, church folk, teachers, elders, politricksters, and even revolutionaries of all cultures and colors and classes and communities. I had to take my children and run for my life. Now we're houseless. One of so many of my co-mama poverty scholars who I am blessed to hold, walk with, and love, told me her story of how she ended up houseless with her 4 children. She went on to explain how the father of her babies threatened her with a gun, how she had about 2 minutes to get out of there. I explained this situation to a unpeopled schooled community member who was throwing some charity crumbs at me for the poor people, and he immediately responded with my all-time favorite line, "Well, she made some bad choices," and then resumed handing me bottled water to give to the homeless people instead of $1, because you don't know what they're doing with that money. The disturbing thing is people's universal use of the bad choices narrative to explain away their disinterest, disaffectation, anti-poor people hate, anti-blackness, racism, and deeply embedded fascism for folks who, as I say, don't have the privilege of privacy. Yeah, no matter what. You can't look away because we're roofless. Therefore, we are subjected to the violence of exposure, i.e. our poverty, our disorganization, our messy lives, our struggle is constantly subjected to people's purview, judgment, hate, sickness, nausea, whereas people who are inside could be messy or cluttering or substance using or sick or violent or making bad choices every day. But no one gets to see them. They aren't wide out in the open, exposed, and therefore easily hated by anyone and everyone. This also enables people to endlessly practice what I call the violent acts of looking away. And the roots of this bad choices narrative for those of you who are conscious folk who think you're just, just trying to understand what went wrong, guess what? It goes all the way back to the early land stealers, the Krapitalists, the wealth hoarders, preaching accumulation and hard work and pulling up bootstraps as the models to fighting sin and attaining success. If you slog through the insanely boring, the Protestant ethic and spirit of capitalism from early 20th century amerikkklan, Mark Weber, they lay the groundwork for the earliest land stealers and wealth hoarders who preached good choices and clean lives and bootstrap pull-ups and anything else was your fault. Predeterminism, they called it. A fascist worldview that says you were born into your poverty, and unless you resist that sin, it is ultimately your fault you are poor. So the equally disturbing part of this early amerikkklan fascist narrative that actually travels all over the world, from the Western Europe and even South Asian narratives, is no recognition of the racism and violent classism that undergirds it. My humble opinion as a mama and a teacher and a poverty scholar is concepts of good and bad choices with deeply conscious critical worldviews of the embedded racism, classism, and patriarchy that exists in notions of good and bad are important if you are teaching children and young adults who have not figured out the world yet and need guidance and understanding and eldership, which all our young people do. But to use this bizarre fascist line as a way to rationalize your looking away, your not caring, your judging, or your water bottle giving instead of $1, and or dehumanizing our houseless bodies, it's an extremely dangerous and violent, specifically amerikkklan act that is very nuanced to this stolen land and enables and causes the ongoing death of our houseless bodies. Ibaye, Shanna Marie Bigley, Desiree Quintero, Papa Bear, and so many more. In Finland, for example, they have almost eradicated homelessness because all people receive housing just because they need it, not because they've made good or bad choices, not because they do or don't have a substance abuse problem, not because they're nice or good, or all the other racist and classist ways good choices is referred to, and our lives are judged as poor people. Similarly, the first people to claim this bad choices narratives to us poor, incarcerated, and houseless folks is us people. Yeah, it's our fault I'm here. I made some very bad choices, said my friend doing 3 years in San Quintin for drug sales. Yeah, it's true he didn't listen to his grandmama or his auntie about hanging out and slanging, about staying in school. But he also was in a racist classist school system that continuously put him in detention and profiled his young black body. He also got picked up on a racist classist drug raid by over-policing in his poor people of color neighborhood, which happens every day in amerikkkk. Yeah, my mama got with a man that almost killed her and then almost killed me, and then we ended up on the street with no place to go. Why? Because she'd been molested, abused, hated in violent foster homes with orphanages her entire childhood, and her own mom had attempted to kill her multiple times. Do you know how many times people told us our poverty and homelessness was our fault? That we made bad choices, and that's why we could never get ahead? Yeah, that was just one of the bad choices we made. What about the fact that every time my mama tried to get an apartment and get off the street, she was racially profiled as a poor single mom of color who didn't have good credit? I, with my light, bright skin privilege, went for the same apartment with a whole load of lies and was granted that apartment in a dime when I was 12 years old, telling all kinds of lies. That there is no guaranteed actual affordable housing for poor families. That almost every pro-life stop my friend encountered wasn't for DUIs or slanging, but for driving while black or brown in amerikkklan. That no matter how many times you put me in jail for my houselessness, it never got me a home. That this stolen land was settler colonial codes like redlining that destabilized thousands of people from their family equity, making them housing insecure for life. That this Krapitalist system enabled, allowed, encouraged the elder and child abuse of Irish Canada, 100-year-old black elder's eviction from her home of 40 years. That also led to the death of my Auntie Jerry, a poor domestic violent victim, from her home of 42 years in San Francisco to homelessness, where she could never recoup her already impoverished, fragile life. The early amerikklans, the Puritan pilgrims, were Calvinists who believed that hard work and good choices were the way for all of us to succeed. White people with a racist, classist worldview of good and bad. Don't you think it's time to move on from their ancient hate and realize where we really are as humans? And then maybe we can understand the urgency of looking at, listening to, not looking away. Never looking away.
Dollar, 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 that's what I need. And if I share with you my story, would you share your dollar with me? Bad times are coming and I reap what I done sow. Hey, hey, well, let me tell you something. All that glitters ain't gold.